I'm gonna try a bunch of different ways to put pear in coffee. I love pears. I think they're my favorite fruit, and I've been dying to figure out a way to put them into coffee some way, somehow. I feel like I've had a lot of single origin coffees that have kind of had that peary flavor note to it. So I feel like it's gonna pair really well with coffee, and I've just not hardly seen pear paired with coffee. So we're gonna try that, and we're gonna try it in a bunch of different ways. And by a bunch of different ways, it's really just variation of one way, and that is a cheong. And I'll tell you what a cheong is while I hack through these pears with a plastic knife. A cheong is a Korean method of making syrups. Literally all you do is you take fruit of any kind and you put them with an equal amount of sugar and then let it sit, and then the sugar pulls out juices and flavors from the fruit, making it into a delicious syrup. The reason you do this is to avoid putting it on the stove. This makes it just a super bright, natural, clean tasting syrup, rather than me putting these with heat on the stove. It's gonna alter the flavor. It's gonna kind of get a mulled pear flavor, which is not what I want on a cooked pear flavor. I want a really crisp, clean pear flavor. So that's why we're doing a cheong. It's super easy, and it's my favorite way to make a fruit syrup. And really all you need to do is chop up your fruit into pretty small pieces. The smaller the better. It's going to give it more surface area. Obviously I'm struggling because I have a plastic knife. And then I usually weigh all of these out. I just find that's the best way to do it, to make sure you know exactly how much sugar you need. It doesn't need to be exact, just enough to get a good amount of surface area for the sugar to pull out all these delicious pear juices. I'm doing a pear medley today, so I did Camas and Stark Crimson. I just looked at it and I forgot what it's called. These are a bit more unique than a Bartlett pear. You can use a Bartlett pear. I just kind of like the unique flavor that these have. A bit more depth to them than kind of a Bartlett. I like doing a blend of pears. It just kind of gives it a more depth of flavor than a single pear. You don't need to bother peeling the pears either. The peels are just gonna add more flavor. Just make sure you wash them before you make this. I don't think I'm gonna end up needing these pears. I'm gonna give this a little shake. And then I'm going to add 336 grams of sugar. So you're basically just matching the weight of the pear. It's going to seem like a lot at first when you first put it in, but once the juices and oils pull out of the pear, it ends up into a syrup consistency. 327, close enough. Then I'm going to do my best to give this a stir with the tools that I have. I might just give it a shake. Okay, that looks a bit more incorporated. And then I want to try and do a couple different variations of this cheong. And I want to add some herbs into the mix with this. So I'm gonna do maybe 100 grams out of here. 146 is perfect. Then I'm gonna add some rosemary into this. I'm just gonna I don't want too much. I don't want it to be overly strong of a rosemary flavor. If you're watching our winter menu series, you've already seen rosemary, so I don't want it to be too repetitive, but I just want to give this a shot. Maybe a couple sprigs more. That feels good. Basically, the idea behind where I got this idea from is a Bon Appetit recipe for a red wine rosemary pear pie. Absolutely delicious. My favorite pie on this earth. So I wanted to try that a little bit. So this one is going to have rosemary. And then we're going to do one more. Two more, actually, I think. So we'll disperse another 150. Then this one, I'm going to add sage. So I think, honestly, it's going to add a really savory note to it. I'm just going to put one. This is really potent, and I don't want the delicate pear flavor, because pear is kind of a back note flavor. It's not overly strong. I want the pear to be the main course, and I want the sage to just kind of linger in the back. So I think I'm just going to do one. I'm gonna smack it in my palm, kind of release some of those oils. I think I'll tear it up too. We'll do just a little bit so it doesn't overpower the pear. And then our last one, I'm gonna disperse another 150. This will be our last 150, so everything will be even. It's already pulling some sugar out. 143 is perfect. All right, so this is our control. This is just pear and sugar. And then this one, I'm gonna throw in a couple cardamom pods, probably just like 3, since again, kind of like the sage, cardamom is very strong, but I do think it's gonna pair well with pear. Need to stop saying that. So we'll crush those up, put those in, and I think that's gonna add a bit of a bright floralness to it. I've seen a lot of people do like a spiced pear syrup. Since we've done a lot of other spiced things, kind of wanted to do something a little bit more floral and fresh and herbal, which is why we're going the pear cheong route. So to recap, these are our 4 pear cheongs for our coffee syrup. This is our control, so just pear and sugar. I don't know if you can see, but it's already starting to pull some goodness out of there. This one is our pear-cardamom. That's also pulling some goodness out of it. Pear sage, and finally, pear rosemary. So we're gonna let these sit for about 24 hours, see what they feel like and taste like, and see if we have any winners on our hands. It's been a couple days actually, and as you can see, our pear cheongs have syruped up deliciously and beautifully. I know they might look a little brown. That's just the pear oxidizing, perfectly normal. See, we got some good yield out of that. So now it's time to put these into some espresso drinks. I tasted all these too, and they taste amazing. These herbal ones have just a hint of the herb, didn't overpower the pear. So that's super exciting. And now we've got to figure out a way to use these in some espresso drinks. So the main drink, as I pull my espresso, the main drink is going to be super simple. It's going to be my espresso, which I'm using our house blend today, but I think a single origin would be nice in this. So it'll be that espresso and this pear syrup. Super simple and straightforward. So now I just got to decide which version of this I want to do, and I'm leaning towards the sage one. I think that's going to be nice. Have a fun, unique pepperiness to it. Oh, it smells so good. This smells like the holidays. It's delicious. All right, I'm going to strain, and I think I'm going to do an ounce of this cheong. I really want that flavor to come through with pear being such a delicate flavor. I'm actually thinking of 1.5 ounces. So it might be a bit sweeter, but I want that pear to come through. So we're gonna do 1.5 ounces, I think. So that'll be about a 1-to-1 ratio to our espresso, roughly. And that's perfect because that's just about the amount of yield we got out of that cheong. All right, it just smells so peppery and floral, but pear-esque from that pear. It just smells so floral. I wish you could smell it. It smells so good. All right, we'll add our espresso. And then before I shake, I'm gonna get a chilled glass prepared with a little pear wedge. We're just gonna do an ultra thin little wedge like that. That's perfect. This is ready to shake. All right, ideally I'd throw this through a fine mesh strainer, but that's dirty, so I'm just gonna do this. Then we'll put our little pear wedge right there for a little bit of an aromatic. That's kind of pretty. I think the whole vibe of this drink is to kind of have this light airiness, kind of this fresh crispness. Since pear, that's kind of, I didn't really want to weigh this down with other ingredients, and it should let the pear shine through a bit. So let's give this a try. That's sweet. But then the back end hits you with espresso. It's cold and it's refreshing, I will say that. It's hard, that pear is really fighting. And I mean, I wouldn't say the sage is overly strong too, just pear. There's a reason they use it as a sweetener in a lot of juices, because it just loses its flavor pretty fast. And that's definitely happening here. You do get that aromatic sage though, so that's nice. I think the flavor's there, it's just a little sweet. But the reason I did so much of that syrup in there is so that the pear flavor would come through. So I'd be a little concerned that downing the syrup would also reduce the pear flavor. Because like, I just still don't think that this pear translates into the syrup, which it should. Again, I think it's just such a delicate flavor. Like, I almost would wonder if you would want pear juice instead. I'm still thinking about it. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just not what I wanted. It's not that bright, kind of tea-like refreshing pear drink that I was hoping this would be. It's a little disappointing, but I'm not gonna say I'm overly surprised. The sage is nice in it though, so that's the silver lining. I'm gonna try something weird. Don't look at me weird for this. Let's try this over sparkling water. That's one of my favorite things to do with these espresso syrup drinks. Ideally, I wouldn't do raspberry nectarine. That's just what I had. I do plain club soda, even tonic water. I think this flavor is gonna mess with this pear too much, but that's all I had. Now that just tastes like raspberry nectarine. I kind of figured that'd be a failed experiment. Yeah, now the pear just tastes like generic sweetener. Well, if you try this, maybe you'll have better luck with club soda or tonic, but overall I would say pear so far is just not working out. Honestly, I'm at a bit of a loss for this next test. That was kind of my one idea. I was avoiding milk because I felt like it would be lost in a milk in like a standard latte format, which I still believe, but for scientific purposes, I'm gonna try it out just to see. I really don't think it's gonna turn out to be anything worth doing. But we'll brew an espresso and try it out. I think for a latte, I'm gonna try the pear-cardamom. I feel like I love a good cardamom latte, so we're gonna go that route. It's hard, it smells so flavorful, but it's just not. But I'm gonna do 1 ounce of syrup into our cup. We'll get 8 ounces of milk for proper ratios and give it a steam. I don't think it's gonna curdle the milk. We're about to find out. Okay, not confident in my milk at all, but I never am. All right, let's add in our espresso. Actually, my milk might be okay. I'm still getting the hang of latte art, so don't come at me. Yeah, terrible. That's hot, that's hot. Okay, we'll do another little pear garnish, even though it's in a paper cup, and we'll give this pear latte a try. I'm not confident in this at all. But the milk did not curdle, so that's good news. It's not overly pear still, but I feel like it's more pear than the ice drink, which is a little surprising to me. Usually as things heat up, they kind of lose their flavor, so I'm a little shocked by that. But I need to drink this a bit more. It's still not a strong pear flavor by any means. No, it's really not there at all. Honestly, the cardamom comes through, but the pear, it's just not there. Especially if you compare it to like a fresh pear eating it, it's nowhere close. Which is just frustrating. I feel like there's such a disconnect between like the fresh pear and the syrup, even though it's literally, I mean, you can't get any fresher or more clear natural than a cheong. So a little frustrating that it didn't work out. Yeah, I'm drinking this more and I'm still getting nothing. Not that it's bad, it's just, it doesn't taste like pear. It honestly just tastes sweet. Doesn't really taste like anything, which is very unfortunate. I've been wanting pear to work with coffee for forever. It's a little sad that it hasn't worked out. I'm still adamant to find a use and a way to flavor coffee with pear. But so far, everything I've tried, I just can't get it to work out well. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. I feel like this is a combination that should work. If you have any ideas of what to do to make this pairing work well, let me know in the comments. This is something I'm probably going to continue to explore and I just want to crack it and figure it out. It feels like a case that can't be figured out. So I think the only other thing I'd try at this point is just straight up pear puree, because that'll give the pear flavor, but not add any of the sugar, which I really don't think you would need to add sugar since pears are so sweet. And if you do need to add sugar, you don't need 1.5 ounces of it, maybe just 1/4 to 1/2 of an ounce. So that's almost what I would try next if I was really going to try and figure this one out. But that's enough for right now. Yeah, thanks for watching. Drink good coffee.
Free audio post-production.